Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick peek of what we're launching this month. This has been our number one requested feature in years, so we finally got around to doing it. So you'll notice when you log in, by the end of this month, there'll be a new section called Bailbond e-sign. So if you click on it, this will be where you're able to go ahead and send e-sign requests for people that want to co-sign. Maybe they're in another part of the state, they're out of town, or for whatever reason. Just makes it easy to get people paperwork. So you'll notice there's a list over here. So needs your action. These are requests that have been sent that we're waiting for them to sign. Here's some e-sign requests that have been out that we sent and they came back as completed. It'll tell us the document name, who the defendant was, who the co-signer was that signed, the user was request that was sent by, the email and the text that we sent for the e-sign request, and the request sent timestamp, and then the status. So you'll see these are all signed. And then you can go ahead and actually verify, email again, or download the signed document with that audit trail. For this demo, I'm just going to show you how you would start a e-sign request. So you'll hit send for signature, and then there's like a wizard. So you'll see there's 3 steps, actually 4. The first step, it says who is the co-signer or who's the defendant. So I'm just going to select Dante Casso. And then now that I selected Dante Casso, actually that's not a good one because he doesn't have a signer. I'm going to do Terry Anderson. So Terry Anderson is the defendant, and then it says who do you want to send the e-sign request to. So anybody that ever signed for Terry Anderson or Terry Anderson himself can be sent a e-sign request. So I'm going to select Gary Grave, and then now that we selected Gary Grave, it wants for you to set the cell phone that we're going to send a code to, like a 2-factor. So there's the cell phone on file for him. I'm going to add a new cell phone. So I'm just going to go, and then here's the email that's attached to Gary Grave. So there is none. So instead of me having to leave to add it, I can just add it right here. So I'm just going to put Gary at Bailbooks. And then now we have the 2-factor for the email and the cell phone selected. It wants to know what bonds are you wanting to send to fill out the contracts for. So he only co-signed for one, and that was on June 3rd. 2022. So obviously you wouldn't be sent, this would be obviously probably today is the date. It would have today's date as the bond date, or the following day. And it knows what collateral was attached that this co-signer was the owner of. So on this demo, there is none. And then you'll notice down here, we're going to launch with our own application, disclosure agreement, and application and agreement. If you want to use those, that's fine. If your state doesn't allow it, or you want to use your specific, we'll have a place where you can send us your forms, or where we can give you an estimate. But for the sake of this, I'm going to select the forms that Bailbooks e-sign has. But again, this is a test account, but if you had your own forms, you could select this to set your own forms. So I'm just going to do ours. I'm going to do the agreement, the disclosure notice, and the application. And then I hit send signature request. So right here we ask you, do you want the signer to send any things in addition to prove that it's them? So you could say, I want the signer to take a selfie, if you check that. Or you could say, I want the signer to send a selfie, and I want them to send a picture of their government issued ID. Let's just say you trust this guy, you've dealt with him before, you can select, I do not need the signer to do neither of the above. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to say I want the signer to send a picture of their government issued ID, and I hit send request. And so now the request has been sent. So I'm going to go ahead and check the email that we sent the request to, and then you'll see it came over. It's coming from no reply at Bailbooks. So I say, please sign the documents for the bond for Terry Anderson, and this is what they'll get. Acme Bailbond sent you a document to review and sign, so I do review document. And now, as soon as I click that button, it sent the cell phone a code. So they have to enter the code. And this is good just because somebody might have access to their email, because a lot of people leave their computer, especially with Chrome, the email saved. Even if they did do that, they would have to call the signer and say, hey, what's the code? So this just makes it a little more secure. So I enter the code, and now it went through. So now it takes me to the first step, is the electric signature consent agreement. This is basically just telling the signer what you're about to do with the e-sign, explaining that e-sign is legally binding. It's just the same as a handwritten signature. As long as they agree and they want to go ahead and go through, they can select I agree and want to proceed. And here's where we're telling them, because in the request I said I need you to send a picture of your ID. So they'll click here. I'm just going to select something here. That would have been the picture that they have on file or on their desktop or whatever. And if they're doing it from an iPad or iPhone, they can select it from their library. And then once they hit next, now we take them to the actual documents. So you'll see here's the disclosure statement. Here's the application. And you'll notice it's not filled out because this is a demo and we don't have information on that. But if it was, all the stuff would have been filled out for them as far as their address, employer, if they had it, it would be filled out. So here we're showing them we want them to sign here. We're highlighting, and then on this form, we need their signature here. So if they want to go ahead and proceed to sign the documents, they'll hit click here, and then now we'll get them to actually sign the form. So they sign and hit accept and sign. So now they'll get, thank you. The pictures and documents you have just signed have been sent to Acme Bailbonds, and tells them they'll be receiving an email within the next 15 minutes with the signed documents, PDF copies. So now if I go back to the test account, you'll notice here, now it went up to completed. There's the one we just sent for Terry, the defendant Terry Anderson, to the co-signer Gary Grave. And now it's been status is signed, so I can go here and say, let me verify it. And here we go ahead and verify the document. We have this would have been the government issued ID. Here's the timestamps, the IP address of the co-signer, where they were when they signed it, the timestamp. So this would be something you would want to print and keep this in the file. And also now, if you go to the client summary, these attached signed documents are already under the attachments tab for the co-signer or the defendant, and they're listed as Bailbond e-sign agreements. And again, you could actually download the signed document here. But we're going to be launching this in the next probably 3 weeks. We're still testing with a couple companies, but we wanted to at least let you know what's coming. Again, it'll have its own section now, Bailbond e-sign, and it'll be pretty simple as far as when you start going to these lists. One thing we're going to be adding is, because now that we're testing it, we want to add filters now at the top. So it'll default to the current month. It'll have a month, a day filter, and a year filter, so you can see what are we having for completed that we did this month. You can change the month to like last month or a specific day. But those are coming. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me or email me. Thanks.